Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Matt Townsend Show. I am your host, Matt Townsend, your guide on the side. Doing what we can every day on this show to help you and your loved ones grow healthy, happy, loving relationships, strong lives, and hopefully closer together if we can do that. Today we've got a really interesting show for you, I think. I have been dabbling with the Parent-Teacher Association, PTA. And I did a speech today with 1,200 PTA leaders from Utah and nationwide as well, I guess. And so today we're going to be focusing on some tools, parenting tools, some ideas for how to try to get more with less out of your life. I actually learned them working with the PTA because think of it, they don't have any money, right? They have to just raise all their money. And they don't always get a lot of it. For some weird reason, they're able to string together some pretty healthy, uplifting, great years for our kids in their school system. And today we're going to be talking about some advice I gave them in the speech. We're actually just going to listen to some parts of the speech for how you can get more with less with those people around you, the people you love. Synergy's the goal. It's the idea. And I for some odd reason, it really struck me today seeing all of these people in one room who cared so much. In fact, there has been an accident in Utah in Salt Lake City where four teenagers from high school were tragically in this car accident. Were tragically injured. 2 were injured and 2 died. 2 are hanging on, and it was interesting as they start the program today. You have 1,200 PTA leaders in one room, having a moment of silence for these children, these kids that had died in this car crash. And it just strikes you that these people care. And apparently they care because, not just I think because they're kids, but because they're putting so much time, so much service, so much energy in the work of these, of taking care of our young ones. So we're going to learn from them today. How do you get more with less with the people in your life? How do you connect more into people? The people at work even. Maybe if you're in a volunteer organization, if you're giving to the school, anything that you need to occupy your time and your energy, but you need to, and you want to take it to the next level, today's the day on the show where we're going to learn that. But before we go there, man, we learned some other neat things from all of these, the Parent Teachers Association. And one of the big tips that we learned today is how to not be a hovering helicopter parent. So because of that, we are going to play our brand new game show. And I'll just let the introduction kind of explain itself.
Fasten your safety harnesses. It's the Matt Townsend Helicopter Parenting Quiz.
Yeah, baby. The Matt Townsend Helicopter Parenting Quiz. Do you hear the helicopter landing? Bring it in, Larry. Bring it in. Are you a helicopter parent? Meaning, are you a parent that just hovers and just does not let your child grow up? Maybe that's the reason you have to do all the work around the house, because you're a helicopter hovering parent. We're going to play the game. The game's very simple. Roberto Sanders is going to be the host today. Rob, you ready for this?
Are you ready to find out if you, Matt Townsend, are a helicopter parent?
I am. Let's go. Ask me the
questions
question.
Out of the Christian Science Monitor. If you want to do the entire quiz yourself, check it out at their website, Christian Science Monitor. Okay.
But be honest with yourself, by the way.
Yeah.
Be honest, because there's nothing worse than a lying helicopter parent.
And some of these...
I'm sick of them.
Number 1.
Yes.
When your baby drops a cookie on the floor, do you A, scrape it off and hand it back to them,
Ooh.
B, throw it out, C, use the 3-second rule, grab it within 3 seconds, then hand it back, otherwise throw it out,
Okay.
or D, let the baby and the dog duke it out?
Interesting. Okay. Personally, I would do the E. I would kick the cookie away from both the dog and the child, and I would sneak it and eat it myself.
Correct answer.
Yes! That is not a hovering parent.
Number 2, when your 12-year-old needs to create a science project diorama for school, do you A, Encourage him to come to you when he needs supplies and a bit of guidance, but otherwise let him figure it out. B, do nothing. It's his project, not yours. C, allow him to work on it himself, but end up in the end staying up all night with him, helping him finishing the coloring and kind of doing some of the finer detail yourself. Or D, do it yourself. He needs to get an A, and his work is always sloppy. Plus, there's always a prize for the best project.
That's a great one. Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
What is a diorama?
Oh, how would you describe that?
Because I can't give you A, B, C, or D without the diorama.
So you take a shoebox and you tip it on its side and you put little clay figures in there, dinosaurs. And
You know what? That sounds like something Mom would want to do. So I'm going to just turn it over to E, Mom. Call Mom in, the hovering parent.
Correct.
Yes, 2 for 2. This is easy.
Number 3, you buy your teen a brand new cell phone. The plan includes
Why?
GPS tracking. Well, it's because Mom wants to be able to keep an eye on the kid,
somebody knows, yeah.
be able to call him whenever.
I like it.
But that GPS tracking will allow you to track your child's location at any time you want.
Yes.
Do you A, get the GPS tracking, tell him about it, give him the option to turn it off himself if he chooses? B, recoil at the thought of becoming Big Brother and violating your teen's privacy, which could destroy the trust you have with your kid.
All right.
C, get the GPS tracking, but turn it on and then just kind of keep it secret.
Yeah.
Or D, get the GPS tracking, tell him, but don't disclose that you've actually embedded another tracking chip inside of his tennis shoes.
Okay, see, I feel weird because I wouldn't do any of the above. I'm A, too cheap to buy GPS, so I wouldn't buy it, but I would tell him I had. Okay, so that's a hovering, lying parent. Boy, these are easy.
We'll give you the hover as well for that.
Because why would you buy? I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to tell him I have it. It's the same effect.
And finally, when your preschooler goes to the neighborhood Easter egg hunt, do you A, let them pick up the eggs for themselves, but point out where the eggs are to kind of help them out? B, just spend your entire time talking with the other parents and never really notice if your kids pick up anything. C, let them do it on their own, but watch very carefully, and if they're not finding any, keep giving them lots of hints.
Okay.
Or D, rush in with your kids as soon as the hunt is on and pick up as many eggs as you can for them, because after all, teamwork is very important.
Wow, that's a good one. I don't want to give my kid a leg up, but I wouldn't mind tripping the other kids and pushing them down.
Oh,
Is that bad of me? I just would think, you know what? I don't want to make it too easy for my boy, so I want him to find him himself, but I could easily distract the other children. I just say, hey, look at that shiny thing over there. And they chase it. Don't you think?
I don't know if that's a correct answer.
Is that a parenting? I kind of am a hands-off parent, if you're not noticing.
Well, for that, you're not a helicopter parent. We'll give you the win, which means you are a winner.
Fasten your safety harnesses. It's the Matt Townsend Helicopter Parenting Quiz.
I don't know why, but I'm getting all misty-eyed. I feel really good. Bring her in, Larry. Land that helicopter. Well, that's great. So I guess I won. The award, I'm not sure what it is, but it's just knowing that I guess I'm better than other parents. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. No, we're going to get more serious than that because we are going to be going, well, this sounds weird, we are going to listen to some audio. After this break, when we come back, we're going to get into a speech I just gave to this PTA group. And the speech is about how you get more with less, okay? So how do you get a team of volunteers to join in and actually start to participate and give their time when they don't, it's all free, and give their services? How do you get enrollment in not only, I guess, your fellow PTA members, but this will work at anything. So if you're thinking about your office, how do you get more buy-in from the people around you? You can't just, if your goal is to be able to do more in the day, most people right now are feeling pressure because it's just not, there's just running out of day. There's not enough time to keep doing more. And you can't keep working longer. You could try. You could try to hire more people, but you can't usually afford it. So in this speech coming up after the break, we are going to be talking about how you get in the relationship people to help you out more, to help you to do more, to get them more involved, to get them to start, picking up their game a little bit. That's what we're talking about, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back after this break on the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM Radio 143 BYU Radio. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Matt Townsend Show. I'm your host, Matt Townsend. Today we are talking about getting more with less. We call it synergy, right? Aristotle taught the idea that synergy is where the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Meaning, as a whole, we can get more together than we can in all of our individual parts. Today, I delivered a speech to about 1,200 PTA leaders in Utah. And just taught them some pretty fun, cool, interesting ways to get more with less out of your life. We're going to go right to the speech, and I don't know, I guess listen to me, Matt Townsend, teaching about synergy. So the word synergy, and it's a concept that basically is this. Somehow you have got to get others to do more with you to get better results. Where 1 plus 1 equals 4, let's say. 11 even, if you want it, if you're going to go crazy. So you and another, or a committee, or a parent, or an administrator can equal more together. That is the goal. Okay, now here's the crazy thing. It's called crazy math. I don't understand how 1 plus 1 can equal 4. It doesn't work. Now, I did this weird thing. I hated math. That's why I went into the behavioral sciences. And I was sitting there one day talking to my teacher, and I had failed a math test. This was Mrs. Larson at Highland High School in 10th grade. And she said, Matt, you didn't do so well on this test. You're going to need to go retake the test. And I'm like, ah. So I went home the whole weekend freaking out, so mad that I have to take a stupid test because nobody even uses math. It's ridiculous. It was algebra. And I was talking to my mom freaking out, and I'm like, oh, I hate math. It's so dumb. And my mom was the coolest lady. Listen to what she said. She said, Matt, relax. You're a Townsend. We don't do math. I'm like, what? She's like, we don't do math. We're not math people. I'm like, we're not? She's like, mm-mm. I'm like, why didn't you tell me this? I've been freaking out for years, thinking I was a math person, and I'm not. I'm a Townsend. It's like I had been diagnosed with something. You know what I mean? Like, you got Alzheimer's. You got Townsend. Oh, we don't do math. So I was like so relieved because I thought we had to do it. And then at least do it well, but I realized we didn't. We're Townsend. She goes, your dad couldn't do it, your grandparents, I don't do it. We're not math people. We're people. I'm like, I love you, Mom. I love you. Let's have a prayer fight. So I left, and I didn't even study the rest of the weekend. Why would you? You know what I mean? If you know it's terminal, why would you do anything? Just let it go. So I let it go, and I walked in. This is the power of the teacher, the one teacher. I walk into Mrs. Larson. She's sitting at her desk right in the door, and she's looking over her glasses like this at me. And she said, Mr. Townsend, you ready to retake the test? And I'm like, oh, geez, you didn't hear? And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm a Townsend. And we don't do math. So I didn't study because we're not really math people. And she had the weirdest look on her face. Like, are you serious? And then she pushed her glasses up. That was never a good sign, by the way. And it means she wanted to see the target. And she stuck her little finger right in my chest. And she says, she, by the way, had taught all of my sisters. She's like, I know Townsends don't do math. But this one, and she poked me, which is probably against the rules, right, administrators? You can't poke people. Hello? I'm not gonna call her on it, but she's poking me. And she says, this Townsend's going to do one. You're going to do math. I'm like, you know what? You got to call my mom. Because she knows that we're terminal and it's not going to work. And she's like, I don't care. You're going to learn math. And I hated her. Why did I hate her? She was trying to get me 1 and 1 and her to equal 4. Which is just crazy math, which I think is algebra, by the way. And I'm not sure, but it just feels like it. So somehow you've got to figure out how to get more with the people around you.
And what we think we have to do is we try to get them to change. Because look at you, you've already got it going. Woo! But they're messed up. The problem is this, in the math. It's, by the way, Lance Armstrong, 7 Tour de France victories, right? You all know he was riding completely by himself, right? Lance Armstrong was on teams. He was on 7 different teams with members of each team, and none of us really could even name them all. Could you? Most of us couldn't even name the teams. He's such a glory hog. Lance's job was to win the race for the team. And the way he won the race is they'd always have somebody in front of him, and he would get right in behind them, and he would draft off of them, okay? Drafting is a form of synergy, where we're all heading hopefully the same direction, because it doesn't work if you're not heading the same direction. That's painful. So you'd get right in behind the guy behind you, and you got to get close enough that if you're heading the same direction, you have the same goals, you have the same dreams, you can actually create a benefit. The benefits of drafting is the guy in front will break the bubble, so you don't have to fight everything every time, and you slide right in underneath the bubble of air. And then it actually pulls you, and it pushes them. It's 18% more efficient to draft. Make sense? Now, you guys don't get the aerodynamic benefit of drafting with your PTA. There's not a lot of wind. There's a lot of wind being blown around, but it's not draftable. Okay? So that's not what we're talking about. That's not the synergy we're after. We're after another kind of synergy. Have you ever heard of the pole horses that pull plows and things? The average pole horse, let's say, weighs 1,000 pounds. That horse should be able to pull 1,000 pounds. You hook it to another horse, it should be able to pull its weight 1,000 pounds. Those 2 horses should be able to pull 2,000 pounds. If they're well trained, if they're headed in the same direction, if they trust each other, if they understand each other, guess what? Those 2 horses can pull 4,000 pounds together. How? By the way, they're called draft horses, but that's a different drafting. But here's the key. It's not in one horse. So you PTA presidents or president-elects, it's not in you to do this. It's not in you to create the synergy. And it's not in them to be synergized with. Where the power is isn't in you, because in 1 and 1 equaling 4, all you'll ever have is 1. All you can be is a big 1. And everyone on your team, all they can pull is their 1. But you think, no, that's not how it works, Matt. I'm really a 3, but I only get credit for 1. And I hate it. And they are really playing like they're a 1, but they're a big fat 0. So I'm doing all the work, but I never get the credit. No, because you're dealing with another human. The power is not in you. This sounds so weird, because you're used to being pumped up. You can do anything! Well, you can for a 1. You can only do what a 1 can do. Somehow, if you want more, especially in a group like the PTA, you've got to get others bought in, because here's the key. It's not in the 1. The Sufis have a quote that says, some believe that the power is in the 1, but it is not in the 1, because the value of 1 is 1. It is also not in the value of the other 1, because they too are just a 1. In order to get the power to be more, you must understand the power of the and. There is power in this idea of 1 and 1 equaling 4. The power in the PTA is in the space between you and every member of the PTA. Make sense? And every parent in the school and every teacher and every administrator. The power is not in you. The power is in what happens between you and everybody else. Do you believe it? Yes. Here's why I know this to be true. Have you ever heard the quote that says, it's not the bars that hold the tiger in, it's the space between the bars that hold the tiger in. If you go to the zoo and there are bars and they're 4 feet apart, I would leave. I would leave fast. Bars don't save you at a zoo, space does, and we don't even pay attention to it, do we? No, until our 4-year-old's got his head stuck in the banister. And then you're like, gosh, Jake, how'd you get your head stuck in the banister? And he's like, I have no idea. Well, you were with your head all day, weren't you? All you got to do, Jake, is pull it out the way you put it in. It's like, that's the problem, Dad. We came home. It was the saddest thing. We came home after a date night, and my son was sitting on the stairs with his head stuck. He looked like he was in the locks or whatever they called those. His head stuck in the banister and his chubby little legs poking out. And we just walked in and my daughter's like, there he is. We tried everything, Dad. His head's all greasy. I'm like, what's the grease thing? She's like, I don't want to tell you. Mom will get mad. All right, it was Pam, spray Pam. Couldn't get his head through. Couldn't get his head through. It was the longest night of his life because we were tired. So you know what, Jake? We're sorry. By the way, this is the same Jake. This is when I started realizing there's major differences between boys and girls. You know what I mean? He tried everything. You can tell he was trying to get out. He's like a stuck animal in a trap. He almost started gnawing at his neck, but he couldn't reach it. So he's sitting there, and this is the total irony. My daughter, when she couldn't get him out, she didn't want to call us because that would make, that's not good nurturing skills. So she instead just sat by him, made a table for him. He had a lot of food, and I'm like, the last thing you want to do when a guy's head is stuck in a trap is feed him.
That guy's crazy. I can't stand him. Okay, you've been listening to the Matt Townsend Show. We're talking about synergy, just a little speech I did today for the PTA. When we come back from the break, we'll take it even deeper. We're going to let you in on a secret about my puffy pants and how to let some air out of your gaucho tied up knee shorts. That's a crazy story you'll hear about after this break. You're listening to the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. We are talking today about synergy, the idea of getting more together with people instead of less. And how do you actually go about building a team or building a relationship in such a way that you can create a little bit of synergy, the 1 + 1 = 4 effect. That's what we talked about last break. And we're listening to a speech that I gave to a large group of PTA members today here at Brigham Young University. And today, right now, we're going to go into the next segment where we are going to be talking about the 7 basic needs, okay? And basically what we're talking about is instead of fighting on the smoke, just the issues that come up in life, we got to learn to get down to the most basic needs. There's 7 of them, I believe. These 7 needs, when they're met, are going to facilitate your ability to get better relationships and better results with people. You're also going to hear a story about my puffy pants. Don't miss it. Just listen to the fun story.
Everyone needs a friend, and how do you communicate and deal in a school where you don't have friends? You don't. By the way, do wives need friends? Yes. Too many. We don't understand. Do guys need friends? No. No, we don't. Our friend is the remote control. Because it doesn't talk back. And we have complete control with it. We need friends too. Every human being needs to feel socially safe. For some odd reason, my wife, I don't understand it, does not feel socially safe with me. She gets embarrassed by me. Okay, whatever. It's so hard to please everybody. So one time we went to Costco. She bought me a pair of shorts from Costco. Anybody been to Costco? Okay, so she bought me a $300 pair of shorts from Costco. Okay, I swear. I'm not sure that the shorts were $300. I just know we can't get out of Costco for under $300. So, I don't know, it's kind of weird. So we're at Costco. She's actually at Costco. I wasn't even there. She bought me these shorts. And we went to Hawaii. I took her to Maui. Woo! Am I not nice? Actually, it was a free trip, so I didn't pay for a thing. But we went to Maui. And whenever I go anywhere where there's sun, I like to sunburn. I like to burn myself. I don't actually like it. It's just my body's so white it naturally does that if I just expose it to the radiation. And so I get sunburned. And my wife's like, shouldn't you put something on that white, pasty body? And I'm like, that sounds weird. I'm like, no, I'm good. And she's like, you're going to burn? I'm like, whatever. So I get burnt. And then I always like to get burnt on the back side the next day because I want to burn evenly. And so after 2 days, I was all burnt up. So I decided on the third day I just wanted to rest in the room and just rub aloe vera on my body, which is horrible. And so I was in the room rubbing aloe on myself, watching ESPN, and my wife was completely bored. And she said, look, I'm going to go down to the pool. You just come back. You stay up here for an hour and then come down in about an hour. We'll go out to eat. I'm like, sweet. She left. And then I have another cool thing where I don't like to get dressed in a hurry. I mean, I don't like to get dressed early. You know what I mean? I like to wait till the last minute because I want to be sweating when I'm getting dressed because I'm in such a hurry. So I waited till the last minute, and I actually waited till the last commercial. Have you ever timed your stuff by commercial? So I'm like, I better go. That was about 1:45, and then I'll just get the next commercial. But the next commercial, I'll get serious. So I got serious in changing about the next commercial, started getting ready, and I put my Hawaiian shirt on. I had a brand new Hawaiian shirt, okay? Because when in Hawaii, do as the... You've all been there. So I then put the Hawaiian shirt on, put on these new shorts. I've never seen these shorts ever in my life. And I'm looking at them like, what the heck? These were $300. And I'm like, they were weird because they had ties on the knees. They had knee ties. Knee ties. And I'm like, what the heck are the knee ties for? So I went into my manly man brain, which is my left brain, which is very literal and analytical. And my left brain says, well, you got to tie them. Why would they have a tie if you're not supposed to tie it? So I'm thinking, yes, Matt, tie your knees. So I'm putting on my shorts, and I'm like, I guess we're tying knees now. I'm too busy. I didn't even get the memo. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how tight do you tie your knees? Do I tie them tight or do I tie them loose? And then I go to my left brain, and my left brain says, well, you ought to just probably tie them tight because you don't want any critters crawling up there. So I decide I'm gonna tie them pretty tight. Then I'm thinking, do you tie them above the knee or below the knee? I'm like, gosh, I'd give anything if my wife were here. She could just tell me how to do this. I'll figure it out. So I decided I'm going to tie them below the knee, really tight. And it's weird because it's almost like they weren't supposed to be tied. Because they didn't give you a lot of tie to tie. But you know what? I'm a man. I figured it out. I jerry-rigged it, made it work. And then I'm really sweating, and I got my Hawaiian shirt on, my shorts on. I went over to bend over to pick up my flip-flops, and when I bent over, my shorts came down. And I'm like, well, that can't happen. I'm not that hip to have my shorts hanging off my body. So I decided I probably needed more slack. Okay? So I untied my shorts, and then I lifted them up about 4 inches, and then I retied them. Which was harder, not to brag, because I got some seriously big leg muscles. Anyway, just a little FYI. So I then cinch them all up, and now I'm sweating. It's like 30 minutes after. It's about 5:30. I was supposed to be there at 5, and I'm freaking out. So I put on my flip-flops, grab my camera, put on my fanny pack, and on the way out, I get this prompting that says, hey, dude, you don't want to look stupid. And I thought, oh, you're so right. So I left the fanny pack, and I shot out of there as fast as I could. And it was right at that time when they were, you know when the sun's setting in a beautiful setting, like in California or Hawaii, and that sun sets and that glow is on everyone? And everyone looks good, you know what I mean? Even the anemic, like, you look so good. I know. So it was setting. I know it was setting because everyone was checking me out. And I'm just walking out, I call it strutting. I'm strutting like this, and these people are checking me out, like looking me up and down. I'm like, what's up? And I get in the elevator, and there's 2 cute little old ladies, and you know normally you look up at the numbers, because you don't, this is awkward. But they're just gawking at me. And I'm like, I'm not a piece of meat. No, I didn't do that, but that would have been funny. But they were checking me out, and anyway, I said, aloha. And they didn't say anything. They didn't speak native. And I said, anyway, so they just ran off and ran away. And I walk out, and I'm looking for my queen at the pool. And I see her, and she's across the room, and she's holding a book. Looks just not my book, because she's never read my book. I don't know why, but she's holding a book like this. And I see her face, And I swear she's looking at me, and I'm like, hey, I'm coming to you. And she moved the book up like this, which I found rude, okay? So she moved it up. Now, I'm a communications expert. So I kind of saw, okay, that could be a mistake. So I got closer, and I'm like, woohoo, woo, aloha. And she put the book back up. So I'm starting to pick up she doesn't want me. And I get closer and closer, and as I got closer, I started noticing other signs of communication. Her nose was flaring, and her lip was curled like in an awkward way, and her canine teeth were showing. Those are the dog teeth that rip you up, which is a bad thing. So she's like, and she puts her hands out like this, and she's like, what the? And I'm starting to feel unsafe. But I'm unsafe physically. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? And she's like, Matt, you've got puffy pants. And inside my head, my ego's like, tell her to shut up! I don't know if I can say that on BYU. And you got puffy pants, and my ego says, tell her no. No, I don't. And so I'm like, no, I don't. And she's like, Matt, look down. Look down. And my ego says, don't. Don't. Just tell her to be quiet. You're supposed to tie him. So I said, you're supposed to tie your knees. She's like, Matt, no, you're not. You look ridiculous, seriously. Let some air out of those, man. You look so silly. Look around, Matt, look around. Look around, Matt. Do you see anyone at the pool with their knees all tied up? And I was looking so hard. No one had tied up their knees that day. It was so maddening. And I'm like, in my head, it's like, my intellect is saying, you know what, she's probably right. She would know. She bought them. And my ego says, no, don't let her be right on this. And then my intellect says, Matt, your feet are numb. You're going to lose a toe. You're getting black toe, Matt. So I want out of this, but how do I get out of this? Because I don't feel safe with her. She's scaring me, and she doesn't feel safe with me socially. And I'm like, whatever. And she's like, whatever, I've got all night. I'm like, me too. Except my toes are dying. And I say, fine, that's what we'll do. This is what we'll do. Fine. What we're going to do is I'll let some air out. Then we're going to go back to the hotel after dinner, and I'm going to show you on the internet, you're supposed to tie your knees. And she said, oh, yeah, let's do that, Matt. Okay. We'll go to courtjesters.com. Okay, and when we're there, we'll look up the whole outfit so you can get the little curly toe boots with bells on them, and you can have the hat with the hangy-downy bells and have the whole ensemble. She's mean. I just wanted to wear her shorts. So I let the air out. Shh. Shh. And we went to dinner. Is she feeling safe? Am I feeling safe? And what are we fighting about? Puffy pants. It's not about puffy pants. Every human on earth needs to feel safe. Physically, socially, so we won't be embarrassed. Emotionally, so we can share what's in our heart. Spiritually, so we have the same value system. Financially, so we have enough money. If you're trying to engage people, maybe some of them can't help on the PTA because they're working. They're working. And they're struggling. And they're dying, and you want more time? So try to understand their safety issues.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. We've been listening, sadly, to Matt Townsend, and we've been talking about my puffy pants. Sad but true story. And so if you want a pair of puffy pants, you too can have them. They're on sale everywhere across the country. But we're going to be taking this break. After the break, we're going to be focusing on the rest of the 7 basic needs. You just learned about the importance of safety. When we come back, we'll learn about trust and appreciation, respect, validation, encouragement, and dedication. Thanks for hanging on with us, folks. You're listening to the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. And we are talking today about synergy and how do you get more out of the relationships without having to always give so much more, maybe. I mean, we're all kind of to the end of our ropes. We all, honestly, it'd be great if we all could give a lot more. But sadly, we just probably need to get better at it so we can get better relationships with even just a tiny bit of energy exerted. As a relationship coach, I end up running into so many people who just, are exhausted, flat out spent, can't do it anymore. And so over the last few segments, we've been listening to a speech that I gave today to the PTA of Utah. And our goal with the speech was to talk and teach them about how to do better in our relationships so we can leverage the people we're with and love them and care for them better and get better results. We've been talking about a bunch of stuff. Synergy was an idea. One of the jokes was right there about puffy pants. Sad but true. In fact, if you want to go to my Facebook, look up Matt Townsend, and you can see a picture of my hotness in sporting my puffy pants. But again, if you do have a heart issue, if you have a weak heart, I suggest you don't look very long. We have lost a few people just who fell in love with those puffy pants. And we're going to go to one more segment of the show because right before we were discussing that there's 7 basic needs of healthy relationships. If these needs aren't met, we're going to start to be what I call starved. And the first need was safety. That's what we just went over with the puffy pants. Safety. Do you feel safe with the people around you? Do they feel safe with you? Let's now go to another segment where we're going to go over fairly quickly the next 7 basic needs.
Some people have trust issues. To be on a team that's going to work, we have to trust each other. I have to trust your character, that you're honest and you're decent, and I have to trust that you're competent. It's not enough that you're just honest. That's great. You also have to be competent. Most people I know get hired for their competency and fired for their lack of character. When you're trying to build your team, don't just build teams that are like you. They're all like me. I'd go find people that have character and competency. I'd be hiring for competencies. I'd also be looking for character. There's people, I think it's easier to train a competency than a character. You can teach somebody to do a newsletter if they're honest and have hard work ethics, right? Character and competency. So notice what we have. Do you feel safe with the people around you? Do they trust you? A stands for appreciation. Do you want to be appreciated? Do you feel appreciated by the people? Everybody that's on your PTA committees and councils and things, they're all going to want to be appreciated. Everyone's going to want to be differently. Some want awards and recognition. Some just want to be told they're great. Some just want a hug, okay? And some just want your time and your attention. I have children that are in every one of those categories. If I grab one of them and take them to a timeout, they'll just collapse. Because I've short-circuited a toucher. You don't touch negatively touchers. You don't yell at people that don't like that. By the way, I do know people that, hey, let's go! Okay, my sisters. That's how they taught me. But it's weird, my wife hates that. Well, you need to talk to my sisters because they started this. So do we have safety, trust, appreciation on your teams? R stands for respect. Do you feel like the people respect you? Do you respect them? Respect is the simple idea that I see who you are. You've got a divine spark in you, and I revere it. And even when you don't see it, I do. So when you say something crazy or mean or stupid or dumb, I don't even have to take offense to it because somebody that has a divine spark that says something stupid obviously doesn't know who they are. But it doesn't mean I don't. I know who you are. Okay? Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's what I tell my kids every day. Forgive your brother, because he's clueless. Napoleon says, do not attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by incompetence. Most of the people are not out to get the PTA, believe me. There's bigger things they should be going after. The PTA is not the bane of their existence. It might be yours sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. Safety, trust, appreciation, respect. V stands for validation. If you want to be on a team forever, we got to validate each other. What do we validate? The good, honest, divine spark inside of everybody. E stands for encouragement. If you want to be on a team forever, you've got to be encouraging. Encouragement comes from the root word courage, which comes from the French word heart. To encourage somebody means you're pointing to who they are. When you see their goodness, you make a big deal out of it. And you find the goodness in everyone. Last but not least is dedication. If you want someone around you forever, you've got to be dedicated to them. They've got to feel you're more committed to them than any other person, place, or thing. Do you buy it? 7 basic needs. When those needs aren't met, we start to feel starved. The basic rule is starved people starve people. Safety, trust, appreciation, respect, validation, encouragement, dedication. You want to feed the space between you? Work on those 7 needs.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. We've been listening to a speech that I just gave to the PTA leadership in Utah, and we were talking about the 7 basic needs. That's just an idea, a concept that I came up with. I have this relationship coaching practice where instead of like psychoanalyzing everybody, I don't have a couch in my entire office. But what we do with our clients is we teach them how to talk, we teach them how to relate. And one of the keys to relationships, to being able to get more with less in our relationships, is this idea of we've got to learn to communicate. But people get so caught up in the things that aren't even the real issue. We get caught up in what I call the smoke, okay? The smoke is everything that gets in the way. It's the stuff that we fight about that's not even the real issue. I had a couple came in once, and they actually were divorcing because the husband had it was over lettuce, basically. They were divorcing because the husband knew that his children, it was a blended family, by the way, but the children needed to eat, what you had to do is you had to eat the food wheel, which was, every category of food, and you had to have the whole category. You couldn't just have meat. You had to have meat with vegetables, right, and your starch, and then whatever else is in the food wheel, because quite honestly, look at me, I have no idea. So the food wheel, he thought you had to eat it, and then if you wanted seconds, you couldn't just go back for one spoke of the wheel. You had to go back for the whole food wheel again. And he thought that was obvious. You don't just go have more meat, right? Because too much meat, you got to eat the whole thing. And she's like, you know what? My sons don't want this other stuff. They just want ham. The boy just wanted ham. Can a guy not have ham? Can a guy not have another piece of ham without having to have the whole food wheel? So they're fighting about a food wheel. Now, what do you want to bet? None of this had anything to do with the flipping food wheel. Back off of the food wheel. And they're fighting, and they're fighting. And she says, you don't need a food wheel. And he's like, yes, you did. By the way, he was raised on the food wheel idea. So he thought that was right. Well, anyway, that rascally little boy snuck some ham. A second serving of ham, sans food wheel. And he grabbed it and shoved it in his mouth and started running, which is bad because you could choke. And as he's running away and just trying to get away, this stepdad, starts chasing the boy and chases him and grabs him at the top of the steps. And the boy jumps down the steps, but said that the dad pushed him and he fell down the steps and then ran to his room, slammed the door. And the mom is like, are you kidding me? We're having a fight over a stupid food wheel. It's important. Then this cute little boy calls his father, who happens to be a police officer, his real father, and lo and behold, the father calls a friend in the police department, and they show up at this guy's door, and it's game on. And then the police is now involved, and all this stuff is going down, and people are getting in trouble, and the man is told to leave his own house, and from that came the divorce. Is that crazy? Nope, that's just what we call smoke. Every person, every relationship, every one of us has smoke in our relationships. It's never the real issue. When you all of a sudden are fighting with someone over a food wheel, I'm going to bet you it's one of the 7 basic needs that's really at the core. Wherever there's smoke, there's fire, and the fire are these deeper needs, the 7 needs. Let's go through them one more time. Safety. By the way, did that mother feel safe with a dad that would chase her child? Probably not. Trust. We've got to trust each other. Do you have the character and the competence to make these things work? If we don't have the character and the competence, we're going to end up fighting over food. Okay, not good. A stands for appreciation. Did the husband feel appreciated in his own home? Did the son feel appreciated? Did the mother feel appreciated? R stands for respect. If you want to be with someone forever, you got to feel like they truly respect you, they respect your opinions. And in that story, if you notice, very few people felt respected. V stands for validation. If you want to have people around you, you got to feel like you're validated. And if you want to have good communication and effective understanding of each other, you're going to have to be validated, meaning your opinion, even though you may not like some other person's opinion, it's still valid from their frame of reference. E stands for encouragement. Do you feel like your partner and these people are encouraging you? Nobody in this story felt encouraged, do they? And dedication. Do you feel like you felt dedication? Did the child feel like his father was dedicated or stepfather? Did the mother feel like her husband was dedicated? Did the father feel like his wife was dedicated? When you think about it, they're starved. And the basic rule is starved people starve people. And it's the number one killer. And then we chase the smoke, and we chase the ham, and we chase the food wheel, and we chase all of this stuff like it matters. And in all honesty, it's just all smoke. So here's your homework assignment, kids. I want you to go out there and start listening, not just for what's being said, but listen for the deeper meaning. Start listening for the 7 basic needs. You'll see it in everything you do. And the best way to practice this is go start talking to your kids. Listen to what they're really talking about. They don't need your brilliant wisdom. What they maybe just need you to do is understand where they're starved. And don't give them advice on it. Just for now, just let them share it. Gosh, son, it sounds like you feel like I'm not respecting you because of my food wheel idea. And we just start letting him tell his story. And then maybe you could be open to being influenced. And when we can do that, this powerful thing, an emergent reality it's called, starts to come out. It's called synergy. Synergy is the result that would happen if this father and this boy and this mother stopped fighting against each other and started listening to the basic needs of each other and actually felt influenced by it. That, again, is the purpose of this show. We want to teach you. We want to have fun. But we want to also make sure that every time you leave this show, you feel motivated, challenged to go take your relationship to the next level. Homework assignment, I want you to think of one thing. One thing you know you need to do better to feed the needs of the people around you, the safety, the trust, the appreciation, the respect, the validation, the encouragement, the dedication. There they are, 7 of them, folks. We'll give you even more information every Monday through Friday right here on the Matt Townsend Show. Please join us on Twitter at BYU Radio or on Facebook at BYU Radio or email us byuradio@gmail.com. You've been listening to the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.